Well, hello, my darlings. Thank you for tuning in yet again to our channel. I am so happy that you are here. Well, today we're going to be creating yet another version 4.0 of our tabletop chandeliers. I do hope you'll stay tuned. For this project, you will need 4 of these 4-inch tapered glass candle holders. You will need 2 of these round 5-inch mirrors. You will need 1 pack of these 4.8-inch styrofoam rounds. You will need either some diamond wrap or this gem crusted tape. You will need a fairy light with battery packs. You will need a few greening pins. You will need 2 of these decorative cake trays, and you will need some crystal garlands. Of course, you will need your handy dandy tools. Let's get crafting. So the first thing you're going to do, which is of course completely optional, is dress your candlesticks. I placed a layer of diamond wrap around the base of each candlestick as well as around the neck. And once you have done that, if you so choose to do so, now what we're going to do is join those 2 candlesticks to make one by going in with a foundation of E6000 glue, as well as on top of that a foundation with hot glue. That hot glue is going to give us a right now adhesion so that we will be able to continue working while that E6000 glue cures over time. So once you have placed your glue, you're going to find your placement with your candlesticks. Make sure the necks line up and the edges as well. And once you find your placement, you are going to apply some pressure and set it to dry for a few minutes. So now that we're waiting for our candlesticks to dry, we are going to glue our 2 foam rounds together. And to do this, we're simply going to go in with a foundation of our hot glue gun only, because really it's not going to take too much to get these 2 foam discs to stick together. What is going to happen, that hot glue is going to melt into the first disc. We are going to place our second disc atop it, and those 2 discs will fuse together. Now I would recommend not applying any pressure until you are sure that you have gotten the placement that you need, because once you apply pressure to this, there will be no separating it unless you go in with a styrofoam cutter. So now what we're going to do is take our decorative cake tray and we are going to create the holes that we're going to need to hang our crystal garlands. And what I'm showing you here is where we're going to be creating those holes, and we're going to be placing them each on the smallest scallop. And what that is going to do is give us a total of 22 puncture wounds punctures in that cake plate. Now how we're going to make those holes is we're going to use our soldering iron with our pointed tip. I will place the link below in the description box so that if you're interested in buying or purchasing this particular soldering iron that I use, the information will be there for you. But what I'm doing is I'm going in from the back, and what this does is it gives you a smoother entry point on top, so that when it is time to hang those crystals, you will be able to get your O-ring quickly into the holes that we're making. So now that we have created all of our punctures in both of our cake plates, it is now time for us to start building up our chandelier. And to do this, we are going to take one of the candlestick towers that we created, and we are going to glue it to what is going to become the bottom layer of our chandelier. Now, the reason why I like working with these cake plates is because they are marked very well, or very easy, and it is easy, that doesn't make any sense, but it is very easy for you to line up or center whatever it is you are going to be gluing to this plate. And so as you can see, to adhere this candlestick to our cake plate, I went in with a foundation of E6000, just a few dots going around the base of that candlestick holder, and then I followed up with the same process with my hot glue. And as you can see, I don't even have to stand up. It is simply a matter of finding my placement, centering it, applying some pressure, and setting it to dry for a few minutes. So now what we're going to do to give our chandelier a little extra pizzazz is we are going to adhere 2 circular mirrors to the top and to the bottom of our styrofoam rounds that are securely glued together. And to do this, I'm simply going to go in with my E6000 glue, and not much of it because it's really not going to take much for anything to be stuck onto these styrofoam rounds, especially because we're using hot glue. And then I'm going to go in over that E6000 with my hot glue gun. I'm going to place my mirror where I think I want it to stay, and then before I apply some pressure, I'm going to make sure that my mirror is situated where I want it, and once I have found my placement, I am going to apply some pressure and set it to dry. I will repeat this process to adhere the second mirror, and then I'll be back. So now that our candlestick has been dried to our cake plate, we are now going to glue our mirrored foam onto the top of our candlestick tower. And to do this, we're simply going to go in with our E6000 glue, and then on top of that foundation, we're going to repeat the process once again with our hot glue. And what this mirrored foam is going to do is allow us to taper the look of our chandelier, and that mirrored foam is where we are going to gather our crystal garlands. And so now that I have finished placing my foundation of glue down, I'm simply going to stand up, find my placement, make sure I am satisfied with my placement, that my placement is centered, and once I have, I'm going to apply some pressure and then allow this piece to sit and dry for a few minutes. So now that we have built up both the top and the bottom part of our chandelier, it is now time to connect our acrylic gems to our cake plate as well as to our styrofoam mirror. Now on the bottom, I am using a length of 12 crystals with 1 O-ring at the bottom and 1 O-ring at the top. Of course, the O-ring at the bottom is going to be used to affix those garlands to the cake plate, and then the O-rings at the top is what we're going to use on our greening pin to affix into the foam. So here I am, I just placed the 2 O-rings from those 2 garlands onto my greening pin, and I have pushed them in on the bottom lip of my foam. I'm going to continue this process going all the way around, and then I will be back to show you what that looks like. So here we have the bottom part of our chandelier that is finished, and what we are going to do now is place the lighting fixture that we are going to use to light our chandelier. Now of course this part is totally optional whether or not you would like to have your chandelier lighted or lit, but for those of you who would, I am using a 6-foot long fairy light that I folded in half and kind of twisted it around itself so that instead of having two wires in some places, I actually have one. And so all I'm doing is I'm taking my hot glue and I'm placing down a few dabs of that hot glue, and I'm placing the wire in the hot glue, trying not to place that hot glue on any of the mini bulbs, and then I'm allowing it to sit for a while before I release it. So I am going to continue this process going all the way around, and then when I get to the end, I'm going to place a dab of hot glue on my battery pack, and then I'll be back. So here we have our cake plate with our light fixture attached to it, and here is what it looks like when it's turned on. And now we have completed that process. It is now time to attach our crystals to our top cake plate. Now when we were working on the bottom, I used a row of 10 crystals with 2 O-rings, one on top, one on the bottom. This time we're going to be using a length of 13 crystals with 1 O-ring on top, 1 O-ring on the bottom, and then we're going to tie them into our foam. So here we have our top cake plate that has been strung with our garlands, and what we're going to do now is attach that top cake plate onto our candle holders. That is, if I can find my glue. And now that I have found my glue, my darlings, we're simply going to follow the process that we use all the time. Our E6000, a foundation of E6000, and then on top of that, a foundation of hot glue. And once we have placed both foundations of our glue down, it is simply going to be a matter of taking that plate, making sure none of our crystal garlands are in the way to get glue on it, to get stuck or hemmed up in any way. And we're going to use those circular demarcations on the bottom of that plate to center our plate to our candlesticks. Once you have found your center, it is simply a matter of applying pressure and allowing it to dry for a few minutes. Now, what we're going to do is a similar process to how we planted those O-rings into that foam, using your greening pin, 1 O-ring on one leg, or I should say either leg of your greening pin. And once you have place that greening pin into both of your O-rings, it is simply a matter of planting that greening pin into your foam. And so I'm going to continue this process going all the way around, and then I will be back to tell you what's next. So here we have our chandelier that may look a little different to you, and if it does, it's because I have turned it upside down. Now the reason why I did that was to get our longer strands of 13 out of the way so that we would have access to our foam. And what we are going to do is use, and of course this part is optional and you have choices, this studded ribbon that I found on Amazon.com, or if you like, you can also use diamond ribbon. But the reason why we're using a ribbon or we're covering our foam is because we want to be able to hide those greening pins that are embedded into that foam. And so I have chosen to use this gem studded ribbon. However, because it is backed up on plastic, you have to go in with a very tepid or warm hot glue gun. And before I started to film this section, I forgot to turn my glue gun off because I have a high temperature one setting, and I am not going to be able to show you how I glue this on, but really and truly with a tepid hot glue gun, a few dabs of glue going around from the beginning to the end, and that ribbon will be situated on your foam. So here we have our chandelier that is almost finished, and the only thing we have now to do is cover up that last piece of foam that is showing. Now, of course, if you like, you could have gone in with 2 measures of diamond wrap or cut another piece of this gem studded ribbon to get the full width of that foam. But what you can also do is what I'm doing here. I'm taking some blue roses and I'm filling in the space where that white foam is showing. Again, this is just an example of how you can embellish the chandelier if you so choose to. And then if you wanted to, for another level of pizzazz, you could top this with a mirror, possibly put some candles up there, some flowers, a picture, whatever the event calls for. The sky is the limit. So I'm going to clean this up and then I'll be back to show you our finished project. Well, here you have it, my darlings, our tabletop chandelier 4.0. Isn't she gorge? I think I would have to say that my favorite aspect of this piece is the fact that it is big on glass, on acrylic, on bling, on mirrors. I mean, what girl, princess would not want to have this chandelier at their event? Another one of my favorite aspects of this chandelier would have to be the fact that, of course, it is lit, and even though we did not light the bottom half of this chandelier, as you can see, the top half is lighting enough. So I can imagine this being at an evening event, whether it is indoor or outdoor, and just enjoying the ambience of the lighting that is going to be created with this beautiful piece. And so, my darlings, if you have found any value in this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, as well as leave me a comment in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you. To my Danny's darlings, I just would like to take this opportunity to say thank you for all of the love, the questions, the comments, the feedback, the encouragement. Please know that none of it is wasted. And to those of you who are not yet Danny's darlings, who perhaps may have stumbled across our channel today, we would like to invite you to join our ever-growing community of DIYers as we craft with and learn from each other on a weekly basis. And so, before I sign off today, my darlings, I would like to leave you with the motto to our channel, which is simply this: why buy when you can DIY? And so, my darlings, until next time, I say to you, please, please, please take care of yourselves for me. Know that I love you all. Bye now.